Joey Gomez, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Appreciate
Thank
you
you for
being
having
here
me.
today. Yeah, of
Huh?
course.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having being here today. Just to start off for the viewers, would you mind just explaining exactly what you do?
Yeah. So I met you at the gym at Lifetime Fitness, and I think probably the first time we talked was when you stopped by my pop up at
Yes.
Lifetime Fitness. So what I do is I have a lifestyle clothing brand called Collected. We have it spelled out. Sometimes I take the vowels out. Started it in 2019, and honestly, like started as a passion project, as a hobby, and like over time has become like taking it more seriously, treating it like a business, making an LLC and all those things. So I call it a lifestyle brand because if I'm going to be doing something, I don't just want to be selling clothes. I want it to be kind of built around a message, the idea of staying collected. And so basically the concept I've collected is to be collected as an individual. So your mindset, your own journey, your own faith, but also your journey with others. And like, so being collected as a community or as a family and with your friends. And so that's kind of like the messaging I put into the brand or the clothes, the website or social media, anything like that. So we try and encourage a healthy lifestyle, a lifestyle of faith, a lifestyle of like self expression, whatever that is, whether it's art or fitness. I try and put all those things to make it a lifestyle brand. So we did a pop up at Lifetime Fitness at the gym. We go to like vintage clothing markets, do some sneaker events. We also sell online, of course, and we also do some of our own events where I've done a couple fitness meetups, and I've also worked with friends who make music. So we've done some music shows, and where like I'll pop up the clothing, like a temporary store.
Mhm.
We do those shows. So kind of have a lot going on. At the very essence, though, it's a clothing brand.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Um, I read an article of yours that you wrote. I think it was on the website. I'm not exactly sure what the date was, but you
Hmm.
pretty much said in it, when I made the first post on Instagram in 2019, what I felt most was relief. Relief that I finally put something out into the world. Relief that I didn't just have an idea, but I acted on that idea. Many people
Yeah.
have a lot of good ideas, but executing the idea is the hard part. So piggybacking off of that, I there's a quote that I love, and it's from a guy named Alex Hermosi. I'm not sure if you've heard of him before,
Yeah, I love that
but
guy.
it's
Yeah.
fear is an ocean that's a mile wide, but only an inch deep. So how did you go from the idea of your brand and then bring it into reality, stepping into that ocean, that mile wide ocean that is.
It's a good question, man. And it's honestly like it's still like something that I'm like overcoming every day.
Mhm.
And it's like, but it's like a muscle that I guess, that you build just like anything else. And I guess for this muscle, we'll call it like the execution muscle, where it's like a lot of us, like everyone has ideas, right? Like everyone has ideas, but it's like, oh, people say, oh, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. But most of the time, it ends there. But then it's like the hard part is actually like doing it in like making, let's like start really simple, like making a t-shirt. Like you can go on any kind of design software and make a t-shirt and design whatever, but then like going through the process of like finding a blank or manufacturing your own t-shirt, getting the graphics on there, that's like doing the action, like doing the action part. So I guess like uh the at the very beginning, so it was early 2019, when I first like started making stuff. It was and I've said this. I feel like I've said this, I say this in conversation a lot. I wasn't like I'm starting a business. I was more just like I want to make clothes. I want to make t-shirts. And honestly, like looking back at it, like so this was I started it like my second year of college. I wish I started it in high school. Like I wish. Yeah, I think I knew in the back of my head that I wanted to. I think back in my mind, I was like wanting to like, make my own clothing brand and make my own clothes, make my own stuff. But whatever it is to help me back, my own social circle, social environment, whatever expectations from others, I didn't. So maybe part of getting over the fear is just getting older. But some of it was really just like telling myself like, okay, this is really what I want to do. This is what I want to start doing. I don't have to go like take it super seriously. but you only live once, so you might as well follow that like feeling inside of you and just start it. I think that's actually crazy. That's the name of your podcast, Innate Domain.
Yeah, that
uh, so yeah,
I love relating to like that topic in general too, because I'm fighting with that thing as well. The fear of putting myself out here with podcasts as well, especially
yeah,
not having that much of like experience doing this. But I'm
yeah,
also following that same thing of being passionate about something, because I feel like when you're passionate about something, you're able to do it better than someone that just wants to do it simply because they want the monetary profit or the value from that.
yeah.
I think that's crazy that you started just a business in general. I feel like starting a business can be difficult, and you have to go through so many different loops, I feel like, to start it. But do you really think that the passion for just wanting to create a clothing brand in general is what really pushes you to get up each and every day to push that business further?
No, no. Honestly, it's not about the clothing brand. I think like like when I talked about the values of it, it's more like to me, it's like to it's important to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so like by me by me continuing it, it's like it's continuing me making sure I'm expressing myself. And it's like I encourage like everyone else to do the same, whatever it is for you, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
cooking or making music, martial arts, everyone has something that they want to do. And I just like love seeing people, like because I saw it in myself, like people could get out of their shell or whatever and going and doing whatever it is they want to do. And sorry, what was the question again? I want to make sure I'm not like
Oh no, you're
going
good.
off.
I was just saying, did is the passion that when you had that started the business, what kind of pushes you to continue going each and every day?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know I said no, but I guess the passion of self expression, but also creating like long term goals to
Mm-hmm.
like pull me forward. And also, I would say another thing that motivates me is like knowing that if I were to like completely fail and I were to like my life were to like be a complete failure, having like knowing that if I were to reach like get to that point, I would have so much regret and just like so much like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, I
Mm-hmm.
could have started my own whatever, and just like not wanting to experience that regret,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
like looking back and saying like, oh, I could have expressed myself and done it, knowing that you'll have like that feeling in your gut that you didn't. Like I want to avoid that because I think we've
Yeah.
all we've all done it, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
Like, oh, I should have talked to that person. I should have done that thing, and you didn't, and you regret it. We always regret the things that we don't do.
Yeah, I feel
So
like there's two things in my mind that correlate to that. There's one that's like you get to the end of life, and on your deathbed, there's all these people around you, and it was the person that you could have been, all the different people that you could have been if you would have stepped out into that
yeah,
ocean of fear. Um, or it's just like I had another thought, but I forgot what it was. But I think being able
yeah,
to step out of your comfort zone and go and do those things that you want to do is so important, because you will get to the end of life and you realize that time is finite. There's only a certain amount of time you're going to have on this earth, and trying to do as much as you can is the point of life. Trying to find that purpose in life is so
yeah.
important. And then you had another article that you posted on your website, and you emphasize change, and that change is the only thing that's constant. So how
hmm
do you think you continue to adapt, not with just yourself, but also in your business, to the ever changing life of this world?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Like especially with like AI right now. Like that's just
Mm-hmm.
obviously one example. But like it's just how like it came about so fast, and now there's all these tools and like all this
Yeah.
technology, just like this. It wasn't even like gradual; like it was just so
Yeah.
fast. Um, Trying to realizing that that's part of it, part of the nature of doing business, part of trying to be successful in general is like learning. So learning how to use it, whether it's AI, learning how to use technology, and also I think in general, I've tried my best to learn about human behavior, and I think whether that's through books or through conversations, through mentors, learn about human behavior. I think as the world changes, there'll always be like um, things that kind of stay the same about human behavior. So I think learning those things, like learning psychology, learning communication skills, like those will always help you carry through. And like if you can um, like learn those fundamentals, it'll help you no matter how much the world changes.
Mm-hmm. How do you utilize AI when it comes to your business? or just like
Um,
is it more just like kind of like learning the AI and seeing how maybe other people will use it and then seeing if you can implement it in your business, or it's just like I'm honestly trying to figure out how someone would do that since I don't
yeah.
have that much familiarity in it.
Honestly, I'm not using it enough, and I feel like I should be using it more. You can still hear me, right? I just want to make
Yeah,
sure we're good.
yeah,
Cool.
you're good. Um,
Um,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Feel like I'm not using it enough, but a couple examples. I mean, like ChatGPT is amazing for just like coming up with ideas, or even like not even related like with business, but like you'd be like, give me ideas for this trip in California. Like it'll just like it can crank stuff out, like it can crank out anything. So helping me just kind of treating it like it's another person to talk to.
Hmm.
That's one example. In a lot of graphic design softwares
Okay.
nowadays, like Photoshop, Canva, there's AI tools built into
Hmm.
that. So I've definitely played around with that. Something that I want to start doing is like using AI to help me generate content for social media, and I feel
Hmm.
like it's like a volume game nowadays.
Oh yeah,
So if you could use
definitely.
AI to help you like generate captions, like what do you got, closed captioning for your videos, or just like
Hmm.
help me like create short form like video content, like that's something that I feel like I'm behind on. But like I think like the companies that are like the businesses that are using AI right now, they're probably the ones that are like killing it the most.
Yeah, I
You
feel
know,
like especially with how big social media is now, volume is a pretty big aspect of it. I don't know. I feel like it is swaying sometimes from more quantity over quality, especially with the AI tools, because you can just throw up like a 2 hour video or podcast and throw it in an AI tool, and it'll come up with like 30 different clips that you can use to post on
yeah,
social media. Um,
yeah, that's
Riverside
useful.
actually helps out with that, but then there is some things that they're a little bit it's a little odd, like the audio's off sometimes, or like the clipping isn't up to par. So like I definitely think AI is useful if you can get it to work, but
Yeah,
human like creativity is always going to top it. It's just being able to utilize both at the same
yeah.
time. But then you also emphasize like the fact about like learning about psychology and learning about the people around you and human connection and stuff like that. um, did you have like a time where you wanted to sell something or whatever, but you were afraid of that, like fear of rejection, because everyone's afraid of rejection. You have to go up to someone, hey, you want a shirt? Hey, can I sell you this or whatever? Was there any point in time where you're like, maybe I will give up on this because I'm scared to go try and sell things to people?
Honestly, not really, because I was always honestly I started as just like a reseller. Where
Okay.
in eighth grade I started reselling sneakers,
Hmm.
and then it also like became like clothes, like streetwear and like vintage clothing. So like kind of being able to like sell that kind of product, it kind of uh, was natural. But selling like a rare pair of Jordans, or like selling like a rare like vintage Nike piece is easier to sell than my own brand. So like I have to, say I'm at like a market, and people come into like our booth, and they're like asking like, what is this? Like I'm just like, oh, this is our own brand. This is what it's about. It's more of like a selling. Definitely got to like sell it and like talk about it more, because people don't know about it.
Hmm.
So there's definitely more of a challenge, uh, that way. And people, everyone's when it comes to like being a consumer, like some people want different things. Like some people care about the quality of the shirt. Some people really don't. Some people just want something that looks cool. So like keeping that in mind, again, that's like again like communication skills, like seeing like what people want and what people look for. That's been definitely helpful for me.
Yeah, it actually was going to lead into another question that I had.
Mhm.
Was how do you try to stand out in the clothing industry with your brand?
It's hard, dude. It's hard. Definitely, like one of the things is just always got to be thinking ahead. So like I mean, like the big brands like that we could like the biggest of the big like big box like Nike, Louis Vuitton, Adidas, like they're obviously already thinking like of 2026, like multiple years down the road, or they're thinking of collections for like the next couple years. For me, I'm just like beginning of this year 2024, say like spring summertime, like I gotta be thinking of fall. Like, what am I coming out later in the year? So you asked me what I do to differentiate myself from all the other
Yes.
clothing brands, and yeah, like I said, it's hard, and there's so many brands out there, and I feel like especially nowadays there's even more. So like it's what do you call it? It's saturated, right?
Hmm.
So Yeah, touched on obviously got to be thinking ahead what I'm coming out with next, and that's obviously not just the clothing itself, but it's also like, are we doing like any like unique engagements, like events? What are we doing for content? What are we doing with the website? So thinking ahead, but for Collected specifically, I think that we are unique where we are a a lifestyle brand, and with that we can naturally go and do other things. So like I mean, a couple examples was I've done a couple fitness meetups before. It's getting people together, kind of shooting content, and we're also get a workout in outside. I've done a food drive. We've done. I'll say maybe the most unique is that two of my good friends are musicians. They work in the music industry, and so they have like a recording studio, and so we've done collaborations with them where we've done music shows. We bring like local Chicago artists in, and we'll set up the clothing and do pop-ups there, and we shoot like really cool content during those events. And I think like that's where I experienced like the biggest sense of community for the brand. And so I think like going forward, I think I really want to continue to like see like those familiar faces and like kind of keep on fostering that community and being a someone who being a person who is putting these events together and kind of doing connections outside of just social media and digital.
Hmm.
And because some of these like relationships wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for like the events that we've put on.
Hmm.
And also, when I go to the vintage markets, Illinois Vintage Fest, for example, that's not my event, but now I've become like friends with like all the other vendors, and so then they've taught me about like the vintage clothing industry, and like so that's really cool. So I see like the community that they're fostering there, and I'm definitely inspired by that. So I think for one, like fostering, encouraging. A lifestyle, and also like fostering a community, and then you can kind of build like this whole like idea system, and then your the ideas come easier from that. So like I said at the very beginning, concept of collected kind of informs all of our other decisions, like through the clothing, through the events, through a blog on the website,
Hmm.
things like that.
I think it's really cool because, like, I mean, you could be, of course, you could want to be like the biggest brand like Nike or Adidas or
Yeah,
whatever you may be, but like, you're never going to have that sense of community that you would if you have like like a like your type of brand, your smaller brand, but being able to connect with all the other smaller brands around and everyone knows each other and you're able to share each other's stories and bring all the knowledge that they have together and you're able to use that to then push your brand forward. And I think that's super cool. I feel like just because um, there is so much saturation, but being able to find your little niche within that saturation is so important, especially with
yeah,
it, like how you said that you're a lifestyle brand, so you can go and do a whole bunch of things. You're not backed into a corner if you're like, okay, we're a gym
yeah,
brand, so we can only go do gym things. But being able to
right.
have that opportunity to go to all these different types of events and meet all these different people, I feel like is so important and so cool. And it actually was something that I wanted to get into because I wanted to ask like what opportunities that have presented themselves because of the brand itself.
Yeah,
Like you said, you went to those vintage fests and stuff. So I'd love to understand like what more than just profit and revenue has the idea of collected and your brand collected brought for yourself, not just as a business, but also personally.
yeah, yeah. And something else I want to touch on more from you asked me how I differentiate myself. I can't leave out like authenticity and just like authentically and genuinely expressing yourself, because I guess at the end of the day, that's the only thing that will differentiate you
Mm-hmm.
is you being you, right? Like won't be another Nick Callip, won't be another Joey Gomez, there won't be another collected. So I guess I can copy ideas. I could do this and do that, but at the end of the day, there's only one collected, and if I could ride that wave and just like stay consistent with output, then I think then that's how you differentiate yourself, because there's only
Mm-hmm.
one you. Um, but like you said, you asked me what opportunities have come about and like what like changes I've experienced
Yeah,
by.
because you started
That's,
the brand itself. Yeah,
that's
could
a
be
good
like
question, man.
like personal growth, like
Yeah.
things that you've learned because you had to start and adapt within the business industry or within the lifestyle clothing industry?
Yeah. I feel like in general, it's made me more of a just like I feel like I'm in the game. Whereas like before, I'd be like a spectator in the stands. But like and I'm not like a huge business, a huge thing going on, but I still feel like I'm in the game. So when I see someone like Alex Hormozy, for example, and he makes a tweet talking about entrepreneurship, I can like relate to it a little bit because like I've kind of experienced it. I would say I've learned how to be more patient, which is interesting. How it's like as more time goes on, you like get more patient. It's kind of weird,
Mm-hmm.
like having more patience and tolerance with things, and also like realizing that it's not going to go anywhere without my effort. Like I can go, most jobs where if I were to go, clock in and clock out, I'll get paid the same.
Yep.
But with collected, if I don't like do work, like I'm not getting paid anything. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
not like I've really got it. You say it's like, you start a business to be your own boss, but it's like cool, I'm my own boss. But then it's like some days you wake up, you're like, shit, I'm my own boss, and I don't know what I should be doing right now. You know?
Yep.
So it's like a blessing and it's a blessing and a burden. But like learning that I need to, you know, so like learning like self patience, self discipline. Like I really got to like be on top of myself. But then it also emphasizes then the importance of finding accountability. So like getting people in your circle who will kind of will lift you up or kind of remind you, um, keep you in check. I think it's important to have the like friends and those mentors around because if it's just you and you like look at like, this whole uphill like journey and it's just you, it's gonna be really daunting. It's gonna feel scary, But if you have
Mm-hmm.
like a team around you or friends, it makes it so much easier, and you don't have to rely on just sheer willpower. You have those people around you to kind of lift you up. So that's again like another thing that um, I've gained from starting is that like my circle changed. Like not that I like purposely cut people off, but just from my lifestyle changing because I'm doing different things. It's gotten me, and my friends have changed because of that, and it's gotten me more involved with people who are making art, other entrepreneurs, like people like yourself who are starting podcasts and things like that. Whereas if I never started Collected, I wouldn't have ever met those people. I wouldn't be on
Mm-hmm.
their radar. They wouldn't be on my radar. So like it's true. Like when you start something, man, it really like starts a whole like ripple effect. It opens up a whole new set of doors, and you keep
Mm-hmm.
going down that journey. Like you never know who you'll meet. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, that is especially like having the people around you. Like that's kind of my mindset right now. Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out who I want to be around, who's going to bring me up, who's not going to bring me up, who do I have to kind of push to the side.
Hmm.
Um, so it looks like you kind of found that group of people that helps you, brings you up and pushes you forward. Did you have a lonely chapter where you didn't necessarily fit in with the group of friends that you had at the time, but then you also didn't fit in with the people that you wanted to be around, where you just kind of had to kind of maneuver your way into this new group of people that you wanted to be with?
Yes, and I still feel like I sometimes experience that today. Like it never ends. Like some days, you know, you wake up and you're just like you just feel like everything is going for you, and then some days you wake up and you feel like nothing's going for you. But yeah, I mean, I'd say like definitely, yeah, at the very beginning of 2019, um, you know, I might get like some of like people who knew me before I started Collected, like high school friends or people from high school, whatever, kind of just like that idea, like maybe not to me directly, but just kind of like the energy of like, oh, why are you doing that? Like, what is Collected? Like what are you doing? So kind of feeling
Mm-hmm.
like alienated in a way, like it's like what I want to do, man. Like,
Yeah, they just
there's
didn't
kind
they
of
didn't understand.
yeah. And then it didn't take long until I found like people who like who fucked with what I was doing, and then like kind of supported me, and we became friends, and uh, Yeah, I was like, I liked what they were doing too. So it's like yeah, there's a period where you're kind of it's like, man, like definitely like a little lonely chapter. But I think that's an ongoing thing. I think
Hmm.
our circles change inevitably as we go through life and as we do different projects and stuff. It'll inevitably keep happening. But again, that's why I said like you build a tolerance to it. Like you kind of know like what's happening. He's like, all right, it's got to keep going. Got to just maybe message a few new people on Instagram or go try out a new event or try and get into like a new circle or hang out with someone that you haven't hung out with too
Hmm.
much before. That's something I'm still working on today is like getting over like that initial like opening or like talking to strangers and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like imposter syndrome, like thinking you have an opportunity in, but then also at the same time you're like, maybe I don't think I should be here right now, but I'm gonna try and shoot my shot
Yeah.
anyways.
I think a lot of people can relate. Like when we say, there's this whole concept of you got to get out of your comfort zone. I think for most people, part of one of those things is talking to someone new, whether that's talking to a girl you like, or is talking to someone who that could be your mentor, like a role model or something.
Hmm.
It's like it's uncomfortable, like talking to
Hmm.
someone that you never had before, and
Yeah.
but it's something I'm still working on. But like I realize that so much can happen if you do talk to them.
Hmm.
And so just like whether it's DM, yeah, sending that DM or like going up and approaching and like again that goes back to what I was saying, like learning communication skills and psychology. If you can like get good at those things, it'll like carry you through like every interaction you have.
Hmm. That's like that was also my idea for the podcast itself, is to become a better communicator.
Yeah,
And you're, I think, the first interview that I've had that we really haven't had any type of history before. It was just like you said, we met at Lifetime. We kind of had a conversation for a little bit, but
I think I saw
wasn't
you at
that much.
Target,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. We did. But like we didn't really know each other prior to that. And
True.
I think being able to, I'm proud of myself to be able to reach out to you and actually get you on and have a conversation with you, because that's something that I'm uncomfortable with. I'm uncomfortable talking to people that I don't necessarily know and haven't really known before. And
Yeah,
like again, I appreciate you coming on here because it's cool to talk to you about this stuff.
yeah.
But
Thank you,
then
man.
again, like emphasizing the fact that you should go and talk to these new people that you see, even if it's like in the line at Starbucks or in the store or something. Just having a small conversation with someone, I think, is so important to building and working towards that person that you actually want to be. It's really not that scary once you actually do it. You have so much anxiety and thoughts in your mind that you feel like, oh my god, like I'm gonna die if I go and talk to this girl in the line at Starbucks. But it's like you do it and you're like, well, okay, that was easy, that was dumb, like I don't know why I was thinking about it before. But then
Yeah,
it's stacking that over and over and over again, and then keep pushing yourself into that uncomfortable zone
yeah,
to be able to get to that person that you want to be. And I think that's super important. And I actually want to kind
yeah,
of go back to how you were talking about, like when you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I'm my own boss, like I'm the owner, I have to do this. How do you stay productive as your own boss? How do you plan out your day, and how do you go about going with each and every day?
yeah. I have a lot of lists. I have a lot of lists. Like I have like personal to do lists, collected to do lists, things like that. So I usually break it down like I make a week list, or like I have a list for the week, and then I have a day list. And so and the day list is usually more like a schedule where like I put in order things I need to do. The week list is more like, okay, these are like um, things that might take I might have to work at it for 2 or 3 days. So I do a lot of lists and like do like a lot of checking out and checking off. And even if it's something that like it's not a priority, but I know I should get to, I write it down. I just add it to like an ever going to do list, and I have it and I kind of categorize it. So like for collected, I have like a to do list of organized by things I need to order and restock. And it could even be just like little hang tags or like bags for packaging, or to like I need to order 10 more of these shirts. So things to order, things to design. Like I've always projects to work on, like those things to design. Shopify is where I run my website on. So if like do lists on there, um, outreach. I have a list for outreach, like people I feel like I should reach out to or opportunities to seek. That's kind of how I break it down. I keep it organized. Oh, and of course, like accounting, legal, like financial stuff. That's like the another like section of the to do list. So that's one way. And then I've learned that like my focus and attention span is it's not that long. So I usually don't like work for like at one sitting for like more than an hour. Like on one thing, I'll like always like get up and like walk around outside. I'm always like I'm really fidgety. I'm always like kind of like stretching and doing stuff. Uh, gonna get up and make a snack. But I've realized that like to like not make those breaks too long. Like if you do like make it more than like 5, 10, 15 minutes, you'll lose your flow.
Hmm.
So I try to like some of it is discipline and just sheer willpower. But yeah, try to like keep that system of what do you call it? Of taking like after 45, 60 minutes, going back into it.
Hmm.
Um, and then I try and keep like the same schedule for the week where like um whether that's like so like I usually like put my workouts first and like honestly like I prioritize the workouts because that like gives me like mental energy and like physical energy. If
Hmm.
I go like 3 days without working out, like I'm not the same. My thinking is not
Yep,
working.
definitely.
So like I put that in like that in. I was like, all right, I put like my workouts and I kind of put in like chunks of like hours of what do you call it of work. And then something that I learned in a book called Power of Less is batching. So like putting similar tasks, like working on similar tasks, like this like next to each other, like the same time. So like uh, for example, say I'm like releasing a collection of like 10 different pieces, like working on that for an hour and then taking a break and then working on it for like another hour instead of like working on it for an hour and then going and like doing accounting for an hour. Like it's
Yeah.
like totally unrelated.
Yep.
So like I try to like batch things and like put it next to each other like on my schedule that are like similar. So
That makes a lot of sense because like
yeah.
especially with school you can think about okay which kind of is dumb it really could it depends on how you kind of map out your classes, but it's like if you're taking a math class and then like a philosophy class or something, and you work on math for like a half hour, and you're like, I'll take a break and go on philosophy and try and come back to math. You're like, I don't even remember the fuck it just worked on. So
Yeah.
making it make sense, like working on things that are close together, so that you kind of keep that flow, even if you do take a break in between. I think is really smart. I read a book called Deep Work, and
Hmm.
it's pretty much kind of like disconnecting from social media but being able to get a lot more work done, like trying to changing the idea of being productive rather than like working on a bunch of different things at the same time, which I think a lot of people think is being productive, but you're actually not getting that much done working on a lot of things but getting little done at the same time. But like the
Yeah.
Deep Workbook is about working on specific things for longer periods of time to be able to get those things done, then switching off and moving on to something else. Because I don't know, like especially for me, it's really hard to do exactly like if you don't batch it. I think I haven't heard of like that term, but I've definitely been trying to do something similar,
Hmm.
is work doing the same thing or similar things, so I can actually keep that flow and keep my mind in the right position rather than trying to get all muffled and stuff. I see this a lot with like if I'm trying to make a reel, if I like
Uh-huh.
write down a few ideas like making a reel, and then I start talking about one, and I'm like, I don't like how that sounds, and the other idea is completely different idea, and I start talking about that, and I'm like, I don't like how that sounds either, and then I go on to the third one, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. I just thought of three different ideas, and I have no idea what I just said, and I just and honestly end up just doing nothing because I completely jumbled my mind so much. So I think the idea of just batching and working on things similarly is super important.
Yeah. And of course I drink probably two or three, one to one to usually two, sometimes 3 cups of coffee a day.
Okay.
So I've definitely staying caffeinated. Definitely like try to work out in the morning. If not, like sometimes I want to wake up and just work. Sometimes I roll out of bed, go straight to my laptop. And some everyone's posting their morning routine nowadays,
Hmm.
and I get it. Like people are trying to like teach each other good habits, but I think everyone's different, man.
Hmm.
So I think it's like finding like what works for you, and I think like on some days you might just want to wake up and like work, and some days you might not. You're like, sometimes I wake up, I'm like, I know I'm not going to be productive at all. I'm just going to go to the gym, and then I usually always feel better after that.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I'll scrap the plan and just like go and do something different, knowing that like I'm sitting here and just my mind's everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it depends. But of course, sometimes I sit down and know I have like a deadline. So I'll like really, that's another thing is like creating deadlines for yourself, even if it doesn't matter. Like no one else really cares about that deadline. By like even publicly announcing, oh, this will be out by August 20th. Now it forces you to get it done in that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
Think about any school project, any paper, right? You
Yep.
like work on it to the last 3 days, even you had like a month to work on it,
Yep.
but you had a deadline. I mean, you got it done. So I kind of I usually apply that also.
Yeah, I forgot there was a quote that's something like that. It was pretty much the amount of time that you give yourself is how long you're actually going to take to do it. So if you tell yourself it's due in a month, you're going to take that month to do it rather than if
Yeah,
it's realistically due in a month, but you tell yourself, I'm going to do this by the end of the week or by the end of the next 2 weeks, you're obviously going to get more done. But have you found
yeah,
yourself, I think that kind of relates to making decisions faster as a business owner. Have you decided to, or kind of figured out how to make decisions faster than you were previously? Does that make sense?
yeah. And I think like we touched on earlier, like the volume game. I've tried to be less of a perfectionist because that could definitely help me. Not being a perfectionist helps you get things out faster.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to be so like uh obsessed with like every little word in the caption and every little detail on the graphic has to be perfect. Most people don't care. Most people don't notice those things, like all those things. Like we're like the only ones like noticing it. So like just trying to just be consistent with output and just like okay, just post it.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it. Just like send that email. Yeah, I try to. Yeah, sorry. What was the question again?
I was just wondering, like, basically, because you or since you've started the
Uh,
business,
Decision making, right?
have you been pretty much better at making decisions?
Yeah. So like deciding when something is ready. Like I've gotten like better at just deciding like to just put it out and realizing that consistent output is better than being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to put it out. So that's helping me out with my decision making. Like, okay, maybe it's not the best decision right now, but let's do it. And if it wasn't the best decision, we'll learn. And just like Alex Hormozy like talks about that like so much. It's just like they say like fail fast and fail often.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did it and it actually turned out great, then good. But if it doesn't, then cool, you still learned.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know?
being good consistently rather than great occasionally.
Yeah. And another thing is, when I think I've gotten myself better at. I feel like I used to like feel the need to be like to get feedback from something. Like I'd send it to like my friends, family. I would like send something before I like make it public to try and get feedback. Um, I still do that, but like I don't make that the full part of the equation. Like I've gotten better with going with my gut and just like realizing that like I'm like the captain of the ship, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just put that thing out.
Yeah, I feel like I
Yeah,
do that too sometimes. Like I'll in a post, I'll look, oh, how does this caption sound, or how does this photo look, and someone will give me like, it's okay, and I'll be like, wow, I thought it was awesome, but now this person gave me a different opinion. Now I don't. Now I'm questioning if I should actually post it or not. So I
yeah,
think the idea of trying to not be perfect and try and just put out what you think is good and kind of drive like be the captain of your own ship is so important because other people honestly never know what your vision is, what you actually want to do,
yeah.
except for you. So you're the
It's
only
like
one's going to be able to do that.
it's like a balance because of course we still want to have a high standard of what we put out, but we don't want to like let that high standard hold us back from having output.
Yeah.
So it's like having and I think you just get good with that balance by just doing it more and just keeping on going. Like I've been making like different clothes for like 5 years now, and I still feel like I'm like so far from where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like when I look back at like all the stuff that I came out with and I'm proud of it. Like
Yep.
and I realized like okay that maybe that project wasn't as good as that one, but they still are part of the timeline of things that I've done. So, you know, and then that's with any artist, anyone, even like Elon Musk, whatever. Like, not all their projects are amazing.
Yep.
Not all their stuff is great, but they still do it. It still makes them
Yeah.
who they are.
It actually leads into another thing that I thought is correlates really well. It's called profit is exposure. So I heard this from I think it was a TikTok by like Dane Cook or something. But
Hmm.
it's like the idea that most people look at opportunity that presents itself as a way to make more money, but the real profit is becoming exposed to those new experiences that give you the skills and the ability to make more money in the long run. So was there any experiences that you've had that the exposure outweighed either the amount of money that you made or the amount of money that you spent?
Good question, man. It's a good question. Yeah, I think that usually when I come out with new clothing products, we try and make like the photo shoots like really cool and really like whether like try and make the photo shoot like beautiful or try
Mm-hmm.
and make it as creative as possible. Like try and use that way to differentiate ourselves. And I sometimes like I don't know whether like doing putting so much effort into doing a photo shoot like and that's like entails like finding a day where multiple people are available, photographer and models, finding a good location, putting money into it and going and whether it's the money to pay the photographer, rent out the venue, give free product to models, and then ultimately you do all that and then you don't even like sell that well online. It's kind of like shit. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just did all that and I'm really not seeing a return on that, like a monetary return.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't regret it because I learned how to coordinate a photo shoot. I learned how to, like reaching out, like cold reaching out to people to see if they were down to model or to go and check out like a new venue. Like it's all like invaluable experiences, and those are things I'm going to be continuing to do as long as I continue doing this. Like it's a great experience, and that's like happened to me like multiple times, where it's almost like okay, like maybe all we had to do was take a picture of this T-shirt laying on the ground, and would have sold just as fine as if we went and booked this whole thing and spent
Mm-hmm.
almost like $1,000 to like do all this. Like for sure, man. Like definitely, like I think experience can be invaluable, and like now, like when we do a photo shoot, whatever, like I'm super confident with making something happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
I
what I say
just,
about that.
I mean, I didn't even think about it in that aspect, to be honest. But I think that's such a important lesson to learn because, like, you could, like you said, spend all that money, but yes, you spend all the money, but then you learned, okay, maybe we don't have to do as much this time. We can do half as much and be able to make just as much, or very little to be able to make just as much. And I think that
Right?
being able to use all those things that you've learned to make even better videos or like trailers for
Yeah,
like your drops and stuff is will allow you to grow over time.
yeah.
I wanted to get into production because I remember reading into another article you had on the thing on the website, and
Hmm.
you said that you printed the first shirt, that you sell yourself printed the first collected shirt. Is that right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
So obviously you've, like you said, you come out with a whole bunch of new products and stuff relatively often. How has that production changed? There's no way you're printing all this stuff by yourself.
No, I still do print some stuff myself though.
Okay.
A few of the things. Yeah, I use like vinyl cutter and heat press setup.
Okay.
Um, but that's been it's changed from doing research and networking. Like one of the my shop who does like all my embroidery. So like the shirt you're wearing now, like they can embroider, um, they can embroider. They do screen printing, all that. I met someone in college and then I just kind of became friends with him. And it's his parents that own the print shop, and
Okay.
so
Huh.
and that was like I met him in like 2020, and like just I first went to that. I first like started talking to him in the finance class. I had no idea that that would he would help me with my production, and then of course just doing research online, looking for different clothing manufacturers, different print shops in the area or in the U.S. Experimenting with different things. There's a lot of options nowadays for like blank clothes. So finding stuff that are blanks, whether it's t-shirts, hoodies, pants, hats, like just honestly, um, some of the, of course, better quality is going to cost more money. So as you keep going, you experiment with different fabrics, different styles. Maybe the material is on a shirt is really really nice, but then you wear it and the fit isn't as cool as you want. Like the neck doesn't feel like a certain way. So just like continuing to experiment. Like I spent probably too much money on just like ordering samples of just like, okay, like this looks cool, but like seeing something on a screen does not do justice. I gotta like see
Yeah.
something in person and like feel the fabric. Um, so just continuously like networking and like doing research and like, or you see a brand that has like a really cool hoodie. Like, I might like DM them like, yo, who's your manufacturer? Like, where did you get that made?
Hmm.
Um, for the this blender bottle, for example, I know if we're just doing audio, I won't be able to see it. But that came about because I saw it Lifetime. They had Lifetime branded blender bottles. I'm like, dude, I need that. Like I need my
Yeah.
brand. Like I've always used blender bottles,
Hmm.
so I got to like figure that out. I mean, I went to the blender bottle website. You scroll to the bottom of like the footer, and it's just like a thing called wholesale. But a lot of brands that like do wholesale, you need to have you obviously need to have like your LLC set up and everything, and then also have a resell license. So like going through the process of like the whatever, it's pretty easy, but like a legal kind of process to get a resell license. So now I can go and apply for all these companies that and get access to them that I wouldn't have had access without it.
Hmm.
So just like doing the proper things with the business, and then just continuing doing research and networking, experimenting.
Wow. Dude,
Yeah,
I used to make like when I used to play video games in high school and I wanted to
yeah.
have like a brand for myself. So I used to like screen press or like more like iron press t-shirts and stuff. And I actually got blender bottles one time from, dude, I don't even know what it was. Some random ass site. I put like my logo on it and I was able to sell it. Made like no money whatsoever, but it was just cool to have people walking around with my brand. But
You
I
ordered like a bunch of them, or how many
yeah,
did
I
you order?
ordered like I think I ordered like 20 or something, dude. I think it
Dude,
was like 20. I sold it to like my baseball team and some of my friends, and people were walking around with it. And at the time, like for me to do that, I think it was pretty sweet because like people were walking around with my type of stuff. But just like hearing you talk about like being able to do research and looking for different qualities and fits and stuff makes me realize that there are so many different things you can look for in a clothing industry. Um,
yeah.
especially like being able to
I've barely scratched the surface myself, man.
yeah, I could only imagine. Like there's so many shirts I feel like I put on and I'm like, damn, like this quality is trash. Like how do they sell this for this amount of money or
Dude,
whatever?
I feel like any shirt I've gotten from PacSun, it'll shrink. I
Yep.
wear it a couple times. I mean, I'm like,
Yep.
all right, cool. But then after that, you're just like, all right, now
Not
like just
not
yeah,
these, not these.
no, exactly.
Well, that's also the importance of I think with having kind of a smaller group of people running brands, you're able to have more quality control over it.
Yeah,
Cuz like
for sure.
everyone kind of
That's
agrees on like this quality is good enough for us and it's like
it's important to me, man. I don't just want to be like I don't know,
Shein.
Shein or Temu or like H&M. Like, cool, you spent $10 on a shirt, but then after you a couple wears and washes, it's pretty mid. Doesn't look that good anymore. But there's brands out there that sell $100 t-shirts. And everyone, some people buy no problem, but then there's a crowd who say like $100 for a t-shirt. That's ridiculous. But that shirt, I guarantee you, it feels better. It is way better quality. It looks better when you wear it, and you can wear it and wash it for a lifetime, and probably give it to your kids because it's such a good quality shirt. When you think of it that way, $100 isn't much.
Mm-hmm. It's more of
It's
an
something that you wear.
investment.
It's something you wear on your body. It's like very intimate. So if you just like wearing, I don't know, like wearing like, not that I've never like shopped fast fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need a pair of socks or whatever. It's just something to get something done, some workout clothes. But generally, bro, like definitely quality is one of my values, and I want to continue to have super quality products when it
Mhm.
comes to Collected. If I'm putting something out and people are wearing it, I don't want it to be shit.
Well, it just shows like
Yeah.
how much passion you have for it as well. Because like you said, this brand is like kind of a reflection of yourself. You want
Right.
people to know, okay, I bought this from Joey. He showed me this T-shirt and it's awesome. The quality's really good. The hoodie, it feels nice. It's form fitting, like exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go to a fast fashion store and just being like just settling for mediocre. That's like I think the
Yeah.
difference between like your brand and like the bigger brands.
Yeah. And I like Champion, like a brand Champion, but
Mm-hmm.
like when I see someone wearing Champion, like a shirt that says Champion across the front, and honestly, when I made my first shirts, I used Champion blanks because I'm like, C for Collected, and there's like a little C on the thing. Whenever I see someone wearing a Champion, I'm like, how can I get them to wear Collected? Because everyone's wearing Champion, but when you're wearing Collected, like you're not everyone else has it. It's more of a
Mm-hmm.
unique, obviously, way more unique thing. Um, yeah, that's a little side note. When I see like Champion, I'm like, man, why aren't they wearing Collected yet?
It's the same thing. It's actually
Yeah,
even better.
it's actually even
Um,
better, right?
moving on, what would you say are your top 3 to 5 tips for someone wanting to start a venture like yours?
Just start.
Start like let's just say start a business, start something that they've
Yeah,
been wanting to start. Yep,
exactly. Just start,
yep.
and then you don't need. You're not gonna know everything before you start. You're not gonna know everything when you do start, but you will learn along the way. So I think definitely just start. I didn't when I first made the first shirt and started posting on Instagram and started selling in 2019. I wasn't like, oh, I need to make an LLC. I need to do all this. I need a website. I just started and I just started like just selling T-shirts and I did all that other stuff after. Um, so I think that's one thing I would say is to just start and you will learn along the way. I'm trying to think of a quote. It's not coming to me, but it's along the same lines. And then also not being afraid to ask for help, I think, is a big one. That goes for more, obviously more than just business. If you just need help in general, like really, I think again, it's that idea of getting out of your comfort zone. I think like when people think when you think a big reason, at least for me, big reason why people don't ask for help is that because it makes you seem less. But someone just told me this. It's like the people who don't ask for help are actually the weak ones. And the ones who do speak up and do ask for help, those are the people who are strong. And so it's like asking like someone who's has a better clothing brand than me, or say uh that looks like they say they make more money than me. I just having like dropping the ego and going and asking them, or just like trying to pick their brain and just being friends with them instead of like seeing them. Ooh, like that's competition. That's people
Mm-hmm.
like no. They probably want to help. They probably want to help, like share and like help other people like learn. So like yeah, asking for help, not leaning to know everything before you start. And also I think starting doing something that you are truly passionate about will help. I think it's not a requirement, like I could go start a what do you call it? I go start like a snow removal company.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably figure it out and make some money, but you know, um,
You don't really care.
to keep you going, I think it's helpful to do something that you're truly passionate about. So like for me, like I love clothes. I love like getting dressed. I love the culture around it. It's something I know I'm going to be interested in later on in my life. So starting something around one of your interests, it keeps you engaged because it's there's going to be hard days. It's not always fun, but knowing that there are like fun parts and that you are getting to do like what you love, like that's going to keep you going
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like I get so excited about like I get so excited about a new product. Like I don't know, just seeing something come to fruition. I get so excited about that. Even like designing like a little like tag like to go on the inside of the outside of the shirts, like and then like seeing it on my computer screen and then getting it in person, like I love seeing that, like the whole process. But honestly, that's for me because I was a consumer first. I love buying like that from whether it's a brand I love like Kith or Nike, and like ordering something from them and like getting all the details on like this little tag here or like the way they do the packaging, like or Apple for example, like everyone keeps I don't know about everyone. I keep all my Apple packaging. Like, but they've done it such a good job with doing that.
Yep.
Like, I love all those details of packaging and branding. So I try and have that mindset when I'm doing something myself.
Well, it's just like taking, like you said, you take not take the ideas of other companies, but like you're making it your own. You're taking all these things, but
Right,
you're making it collected. You're not just, that's not just a copy paste. It's, you're putting your own effort and passion into it to be able to be excited about it rather than just like, okay, I'm just going to put a logo on a shirt and send it out and hopefully it sells.
right, right. Like your own flavor, you know?
Yep. I think
That's
that's the importance, especially with standing out in the clothing industry. And I think I mean, that's why I like your guys' stuff. I think it's sweet.
yeah. Thanks, man.
But I would say wrapping up, what are your goals moving forward with the brand along with yourself?
Yeah. I one of my big goals and I've been thinking about this for years and talking about it with my friends, but I want to have I so I'm still operating all the collective operations in my basement. Like that's like my warehouse, workshop, studio. But I want to have a physical space that is like kind of a collaborative hub. And ideally in Chicago, that's where kind of everything is going on nowadays. But I want to have like my own like fashion studio somewhere where I could wake up and I go to work, but it's my work. And so a place that's like fashion studio, um, for designing, creating art in general, and also like obviously inventory, storage space. Like I don't have my own space, but I'm not like I'm not like so attached. Like it doesn't just have to be a collected space. I want it to be a space for my friends to come and work too. I've talked about like with my friends who have a recording studio, like maybe combining spaces. Like we have a recording studio in there too, maybe podcast studio. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like having a space where like all my friends can come and work, even if it's just my one friend who was like I just chilling on his laptop to have like a little like lounge area.
Mm-hmm.
Like that'd be like so sick. Like and we're all like working for ourselves then. Like that'd be fucking awesome. So like that's like a easier said than done. You got to get everyone on the same page. Of course, the money part has to work. You got to be able to afford it and continue to afford it. And getting everyone on the same page and align with their goals. It's not an easy thing. If it was, I would have done it already. But I want something like that, and grow that space. And then or I think it's should be a goal of mine, but I do want to have it is to have my own store, like retail
Okay.
space. You walk in, you check Google, you check how do we get to the collected store, like, and if you walk in and it's a retail experience, that'd be sick. And I think I've obviously like Chicago is the best place to put it. That's where all our foot traffic is. It's expensive though, but I think having one in Schaumburg too would be pretty iconic.
That'd be cool.
That might be like a goal
Do
of
you
mine. Then
do you have like a roadmap like for this, or is it kind of just still kind of out there as a dream?
working on the roadmap. It's not just like me to work on it.
Yeah.
Work on others, and of course it's also dependent on like my other friends' businesses. Like if we're all kind of putting it under the same space, like how are we going to share the rent and the
Oh
space and
yeah.
whatnot? It's yeah, I need to make the plan more real. It's kind of more of a dream right now, but we've talked about it a lot. We've looked at spaces, we've checked out different spaces, different options. So it's a real possibility, and like hopefully like less than 2 years away.
Hell yeah.
But like a store in Schaumburg, I think would be just iconic, just to
That'd be
have
cool.
like because there's no really clothing stores like that in
Yeah.
Schaumburg.
No, there
There's
isn't.
Woodfield Mall and stuff, but like imagine like right by like in the area by like Lou Malnati's and Schaumburg Library,
Yep.
like something like that would be
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And like those older buildings. But yeah, I definitely want to have my own space. And then in like the studio space in Chicago, and or a store. It'd be elite.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. How about you? I just this is this. What's the future of the podcast, or just for
Um,
you in general?
honestly, dude, like my goal for the podcast itself is just to continue to learn from people I find super
Hmm.
interesting and fascinating, just to learn their expertise from it. if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. I'm just having fun. Like this is for right now. This is like my passion. I love doing this. I love talking to people. I love getting out of my comfort zone and learning from people I never thought I would be able to learn from.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, like I think that's just it. Just keep learning, keep building knowledge, keep improving myself. I think it's just that's my whole mindset is like I just want to continue to learn and build myself rather than anything else. Like yeah, the money's cool and stuff, like that'll come, but I just want to make sure I want to be or I want to become that person that I want to be in the
Yeah.
future eventually. And that's hopefully what the podcast will help me do because of all the people I can converse with and learn from.
Yeah. What has been like what has been the feedback from your friends, the people who knew you like before like you starting a podcast? Like what do they think of you starting a podcast?
Um, it's honestly like they think it's cool. It's difficult though because like I don't really get that much feedback on it. There's like a couple people that will say, okay, I like this episode or this episode was really good. My girlfriend gives me a whole bunch of feedback on it, so it definitely helps. But like, I was always someone that was making like gaming videos or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I made some vlogs in high school and stuff, so they kind of knew me as someone that was making these videos,
True.
posting stuff, and just always being on camera. Um, but from the people that I've talked to and stuff, they said that the idea is cool. Like the questions are pretty decent and it's organized really well. And honestly, that's good for me because I'm getting what I need by learning from people that I'm talking to, and I'm becoming a better communicator. Like I said earlier, and it's a whole lot of fun while I'm doing it as well.
Yeah. Sweet. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean
Oh,
I would it's definitely a work in progress. I've learned a whole ton from I
yeah.
mean this will be the 26th episode, so it's just like 6.5 months that I've been doing this.
Dang.
Editing wise, like Photoshop wise, social media wise, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've learned from it. And I would have never learned it if I didn't step out into that fear of it was most likely or it was mostly just like people's opinions that I was scared of was starting this podcast and doing
Yeah.
something that I'm not I don't know, not capable of doing, but not known for doing, and really just and doing it either way.
Yeah. That's what that's what we gotta do, man. To do it either way. Follow
Yep.
that like
Yep.
that innate calling and just doing it. And I think that the right people will cross your path.
Yeah. And I remember like early on in the show, someone would ask me like, "Oh, you're doing a podcast?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm trying." But then recently, I was like, I heard this quote, and I think it's from Star Wars, and it's "Do or do not. There is no try," and it's by like Yoda or
Yeah.
something. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude,
Famous
that's
quote.
awesome. Like I'm I want to flip my mindset to not say try anymore. I'm doing it, and I'm either gonna do it or I'm not gonna do it. And I think that relates to your sense as well. Like someone that wants to start a business, someone that wants to start putting themselves out there. It's do or do not. There is no try in doing. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Yeah. For sure, man.
Yep. For the just wrapping up, where
Yeah.
can people find you? Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram, again, my name is Joey Gomez. My personal IG is at Jomez7, so JOMEZ7. And to find collected, it's the word collected without the vowels, so CLLCTD.life. That's our website and our Instagram handle. Also TikTok, I believe. CLLCTD.life. That's the Instagram and the website. You find everything there. And I just want to say thank you, Nick. Thank you for having me. Gives me opportunity to practice, practice
Of
like
course.
my communication skills and everything. I appreciate you for having me on. It's been
Yeah,
fun.
of course. Thank you so much for being here.